Okay, so today we actually covered in the previous lecture that was about material types, master data, and a little bit how material master is basically designed, how the hierarchy is planned in around the entire material, how it is defined and maintained in the SAP. And today we are going to look at that part. So this is the main menu: logistics, materials management, material master, material. We can make material for, master data for other areas as well, like batches. We'll look into batches also later. And we have other master data as well for MRP. And we have other master data for conditional documentation that we'll see later on. Right now, we'll create a material from the generalized menu MM01. This is the T code, and the T code you can see on the top on the right corner as well. Material, industry sector, and material type. We've already discussed about material type. Material type can be raw material, semi-finished good, finished goods, service material, and as per the industry, we can have the various material types like chemical, ferrous chemical, or we can have different variations of materials that can be defined. These can be defined as per the industry or as per the ingredients. Okay. Material over here, what we can do is we can have our own material number generated by SAP, or we can have an alphanumeric coding, okay, for our material. Let's go with IM finished good 001. This is our code. Okay. Industry sector will create mechanical engineering. Most commonly, people actually take this one. Okay. Material type, this will be, let's make it RM, raw material, and we'll go for raw material type, raw material segment. Okay. And let's find out raw material. Okay. Select views. Now these views basically are the maintained. No external can possible for raw material. Okay. Now it will generate its own number. So we'll keep the internal numbering from SAP for creating material master. It's quite easy to actually create a material master. Okay. Work scheduling. Now these are the views. Now these are the segments or parts that become the part of the material master. Okay. We have basic data. What is basic data? It will actually capture the name, the quantity, the unit of measure in basic data. Then we have views for sales org. We'll see what details actually go in sales org. There are some very important fields in sales org. Then we have part 2 of sales org. Then we have sales and plant data combined. Then we have MRP. Now, MRP is material requirement planning. This is quite a crucial part for a material management consultant to have an understanding of this. Work scheduling, plant data storage. This is a combination of plant and storage because every material has to have some storage place. Okay. And then we have more details in the part 2 of plant and storage combination. Then if we have some synchronized warehouse management, where our shelving and bins are defined and the dispatching of the material is planned, then we can have warehouse management selected also, but we are not going for that. Quality management, this comes, and this is quite relevant for industries like chemical, textiles, and food industry, where quality has to be quite rigidly strict. For that, of course, we have a quality management module where checks have to be maintained for every material type. For raw material, there will be a check. There will be a series of check. Okay. For semi-finished good, there will be a separate check. For example, in textile, of course, when a raw material has to be procured, there has to have there has to be a framework to grade and mark a certain level or standard of a product. If the product matches and meets that standard, then of course it will pass for production or processing in the production, and the quality people actually define and dictate and mandate those standards, those levels. So some raw materials or semi-finished or finished will be of grade A, some will be of grade B, grade C, and so on. So every grade will have its own set of framework, guidelines, and measurements, okay, and calibrations. For example, raw material, which is a fabric. So the fabric will have threads. The threads crossing each other, there is a standard in textile. It has to be 40-60, like 40 threads going from right to left and 60 coming from top to bottom, and these are matching at one point, and that makes one knot or one cross. So that defines how fine is your fabric that you have imported or procured or purchased. So if the standard goes beyond above that, it will be more finer fabric. And if this measurement, if the grade or if the fabric goes below 40-60 metric, this yardstick metric, then of course it will be inferior, lower quality. So this is how you actually define quality. Quality measurements and metrics and guidelines and frameworks in a company. We're not actually covering it, but I just wanted to give a brief intro. Accounting over here will have integration, how it will be taken up and influence and record a transaction in accounting, how it will be done. Then costing, for of course, raw material has to go through the costing part. Okay. Then we have warehouse management, execution, and packaging. Again, we don't have warehouse management. So execution is basically picking the product and then dispatching it from a certain location through shipment. Okay, so there is a certain separate process for that, and same for the packaging. Of course, there will be a different set of levels, because packaging, of course, it's carton packaging or plastic packaging, and there will be stages for packaging. Organization levels now. Plant, as we defined and discussed earlier, plant is a unit where material is stored or manufactured. Okay, so I will choose IM01. Storage location will be 1010. Sales org IMNO. Okay, I9. Direct sales. Okay, now what is a plant? Plant is an organizational unit. Storage location is a part in a plant where your material will be stored and from where it will be distributed and dispatched. Sales org is basically when your material is processed into finished goods and then it is sold. So what unit is responsible for that? It is IMNO. Sales org is that unit, and under that unit we have a distribution channel. Now under a sales organization we will have various distributions. Now distributions can be geographic. For example, there will be distribution for a certain city, or there will be distribution as per business unit. Like, for example, we have direct sales, online sales, B2B sales, B2C sales. These are distribution channels. So that actually gives you a unique, narrow down perspective of how a material flows from a plant, goes through a process, and the sales org then supervises the sale through a certain distribution channel. So I will select OK, continue. Now over here, it has given us the numbering range. Okay. Description. Let's say we can take and detergent powder, base unit of measure, or let's say detergent powder pack, 500 kg minimum each, because this is a pack of 500 kg. Material group. Now, before this, we discussed plant, storage, sales org, and distribution. How did we select all this? Because we have configured this at the back end. Right now, we are executing material master at the front end, not back end. So we will do configuration after this. Base unit of measure, this is each. Now, each is basically different for every material, like liters, kgs, packs, cartons. So unit of measure will be different for every material as per the material type. Okay, material group. Now, what is a material group? This is very important. Now, material group. Now, for example, we have a detergent powder. Now, for let me clarify. Let me clarify further. For example, this is industrial base. Okay. 500 kg powder pack. Let's detergent pack 500 kg industrial base. Okay. Now, material group, what does it serve? Because detergent pack, as I said, this is industrial base. Okay. Let me just industrial. Now, this is being used for industrial. Then there will be some for commercial and for domestic. So the detergent will be of, let's say, this is 60%, which means that the potency of this detergent is 60%. So for industrial, there will be different grading for this detergent pack. Okay. So that, for example, in under industrial, there will be some which will be 40% or maybe 70% potency. So the material group for industrial will be the same. For example, detergent pack for industrial is a separate material group. Detergent pack for commercial will be a different material group. Okay. So let us find out what material group do we have. Material group, industrial detergent, domestic detergent. So we have this one, we can check that, but we can also have finished material, trading, raw material. We can also go for ROH, which is raw material. Okay. And we can also go for industrial detergent. So we will settle for ROH. Let's keep it simple. Okay. Material group. If there was an old material number from old material system, then we can locate it over here. Now, division basically are business units. Okay. Now, division over here will be detergent division or cleaning division. Okay. So we will actually go for, now we have detergents, DT, or we can go for any. We'll go for detergent. These are business units. Okay. Lab, office, external material group. If there was a separate material group outside of the system, we can also use that. Authorization group, again, who will procure, and deal with this authorization will be users. So there will be a code. We can give the code over here. We can give the gross weight 1 unit kg, okay, for each net weight 1, or let's keep it kg. Yeah, kg. Volume will be for liquids. So this is not liquid, okay? Basic data. Now in basic data 2, okay, we can give some more details like which are theoretical. For example, these can be used as well in various scenarios. We'll keep it as it is. Sales org 1. Now we have sales org. We've already given that, and it has copied certain details like detergent division, group, raw material. Okay. And over here we have taxation, which comes and falls under sales, because when you sell a product, it will be subject to some taxation. Again, 1 and 1. Minimum order quantity, we don't restrict it, so we'll keep it open. Now, minimum order quantity is that if you're selling it, you will give a condition that there should be a minimum order quantity of 200 packs before you can actually buy it from us, so that you can get a better profitability and a less cost of sales. Sales org 2, material statistics group, general item category group, and account assignment group material. Very important. Now, this is basically used for integration with finance. General item category. What is general item and item category group? Okay. Now, this is basically used for integration with finance. And for that, we need some grading. Okay. Now, this basically, if we look at this general item category, this is a standard item, or we can have various other explanations for such a material if the material is special. Okay. Now, what is special? What do I mean special? That could be different from this product, and that can be a product which is used for subcontracting, or it can be used as empties. Empties means that is being made as sample. I can define a product which is being used as a sample for testing. I can also, so it's basically just like material group, we actually give them an item category group. In which category do we put this? Because under this item category group, our pricing will get affected. Okay. So again, it has different interpretations. Okay. Now, since this is a standard item means that we can process this item and sell it at standard rate. Okay. Standard item, which is normal. Okay. Account assignment group material. Over here, now what do we have? Finished goods, trading goods, semi-finished goods. Let's say we take 01 account assignment, group material, account assignment. Now this account is for finance. Account item category, very important again. Again, it will be normal, standard item, normal. Okay. I hope this is clear. This is very, very important because these are very much used often, and this becomes a part of your interview. Sales, gross weight 11, availability check. Now, availability check is basically the system actually checks for the stock availability whenever there is a dispatch or there is a sales. So it actually checks for it. And it checks whether the stock is sufficient enough. Okay, daily requirement, no check. We will just have a no check on this one. Okay. Transport group, loading group. Now, what transport group basically is going to handle this material, what loading group will handle this, okay? And over here, this product will be handled or transported on pallets, okay, or by roads, whatever will be the scenario. Loading group. Now, loading group, it will be loaded through machine or it will be loaded manually. Again, that is a part of material master. Profit center, very important because IMCO, IMCO company code. Now, company code is basically the reporting unit company. Okay. If you remember, we discussed plant. Now, plant basically comes under a company code. Okay. And company code is the unit to which the plant reports. It gives all the details and transfers and passes on all the details. Okay, plant 1 and 2. So we will take this one, P1001. Okay. Next is MRP1. Now, MRP is material requirement planning. Okay. Material requirement planning is basically that the system automatically generates and calibrates and checks the material that is required. And what do I mean by required? That there will be a requirement for processing a material. So the system will have to check whether the stock is available, at what date it should be made available, when is the production going to start, and what is the minimum quantity that is required to make a finished product, and what is the lead time, how many days before the material is going to be finished. Now, this is basically becomes a part of MRP. Okay. Over here, we have base unit of measure, which is already carried forward from the basic data tab. MRP type. Now, what are the procedures we'll see here? Now, there are various segments in MRP. Some are demand driven, which is as per the demand from the market, from the customer. Time phased. After like there can be products which are seasonal products. So those will be planned on time phase, on season based. Okay. Then replenishment. This comes, replenishment means refreshing. Now, this is important for FMCG products like Coca-Cola, um, um, what are like fizzy drinks, okay, like energy drinks. Now, energy drinks, when they are actually sold from the shelves, from the shops, then it has to be those shelves have to be refilled again, and those have to be replenished again. So a product can be replenishment as well. Okay, seasonal MRP, as I told you earlier. Okay, and we'll see no planning. We don't need any planning right now. Lot sizing procedure, we don't need it. Lot sizing means what is the lot size that we can have. Okay, lot for lot, fixed order quantity. Now, these are basically a part of MRP plans that a lot, what is a lot? In a lot, there can be 100 packs. Fixed order quantity, fixed order means that a customer ordered like 150. That's fixed order. Monthly lot, this is again for um, FMCG for companies like that make um, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, canned juices. For that, of course, there will be monthly production, right? Daily lot, where of course we are speaking of like food industry where the product is basically used like cakes and biscuits are used every day. You cannot actually keep them, otherwise those will expire. So for every product type, they will be planning type for every material. So lot size basically uh, decides that. Okay. Maximum lot size. What is the minimum lot size? So we can have minimum and maximum. Fixed lot size, maximum stock level, Assembly scrap, how much of this processing will lead to scrap, how much percentage can be taken out as scrap. Okay. MRP2, MRP controller is a person, and we can assign it over here. Procurement type F, which is external. F is external from outside because you get um, a raw material from the outside. E is in-house, both procurement types. So either a product can be made or procured from the outside or inside. JIT, this is just in time. This is for automotive industry. Okay. And what is the delivery time for processing this product? How long will it take to be shipped out of the factory? We can give it over here. We can mention it over here. Okay. And we have another thing which is scheduling margin. Now, again, this is part of, okay, I mean, there are no details, we'll not go into this. Now, this is basically, again, part of the planning, and it basically calculates and schedules that how many days a product will require to be made into finished products before it can be sold. Okay. That is the margin it actually calculates. Period indicator, fiscal year variant. A period over here that we have is M, which is monthly. So monthly planning will be carried out. So monthly planning will means it will calculate the requirement for the material on a monthly basis, that this much stock is required to be bought from the outside. Okay. Strategy group, again, this is for planning. Strategy group, we have make to stock, by lot, pre-planning, assembly, without assembly, make to order, assembly, service order. Now, what is this basically? Make to stock is basically you are building stock and storing that stock to be shipped out every month. For example, the Coke. Now, Coca-Cola is basically made every month. It doesn't need customer orders. So you'll just keep on building it. Now, make to order. Okay. Now, make to order is basically order from the customer. Now, customer says we want 150 tons of apple juice, special apple juice for a season. That will become make to order. Okay. Service orders basically, this comes for maintenance of machinery. It has to be overhauled or serviced. So service orders basically planned for that. Okay. Availability check, KP, no planning. KP means no planning, no check, individual requirements, daily requirements. Okay. It checks for the stock before actually moving and dispatching. So the system has some controls. Okay, MRP4, individual or collective. Collective and individual planning here means that the material will be individually planned. For example, I need 700 cartons for detergent pack 60% every month. Or collectively means that, for example, individual requirement, collective requirement. So when I tell it's collective, it means the system will also plan for 60%. It will also plan for other material which is related to this processing. For example, along with detergent, I need chemical. It will also chemical to mix and produce a detergent. Okay. And to make a detergent, I need a detergent pack 60% plus chemicals plus catalyst chemicals. Okay. Packaging to pack this detergent once it is finished. Okay. So 2 to 3 things that actually make up a finished product can also be planned as well. Okay. Now, repetitive manufacturing, we're not actually going to the work scheduling. Production unit, unit of issue. Now, if this is a pack, but it is issued in kgs, we can write it over here. Then we will have to give the unit of conversion from each to kgs, and we'll have to give that, configure that. Okay. Okay. Plant data storage. Plant data storage, storage bin, where it is stored. Okay. And hazardous material number, if it is hazardous like chemical which is flammable. Batch management, I'm not checking it right now. We'll do it later on. Okay, shelf life, maximum storage period. Shelf life, how much expiry is available for this product. Total shelf life, we can give it over here. Okay. Plant data storage 2. Again, some more details. Gross weight, net weight, profit center. Again, it's repeated over here. Accounting 1. Valuation class. Now, this is basically very important for finance integration. Okay. Now, for finance integration, valuation class is nothing but your material type, like raw material, semi-finished good, finished good. So this basically will actually give you that whether this product is basically a raw material or a semi-finished good or service material or packaging in terms of finance. So valuation class is basically important. So 9904 is not the correct valuation class. We need something different. Not allowed for material, raw material. Okay. 9904 is the one that is required over here. You can give over here accounting 2. Moving average price, let's say 100. And rest, of course, this is tax prices that we can give, costing. Base unit measure each with quantity structure. Now, quantity structure is basically what? The combination of bills of material and routing. Okay. Material origin, it basically checks and records every material that is put into use, into processing to make a finished product. We can also check it for costing purposes. Overhead group, that will capture all the overheads that are required to make this product into a finished product. Okay. Then we have a profit center and special procurement costing. No values. Okay. We'll leave this. Costing 2. Okay. Costing 2, valuation classes there, and so on. And we will save it. Okay. So your material 99017 107 is created. Now let me just